Hey everybody, welcome back to Tanner's Books Beyond, here today with my April wrap-up, which I'm actually excited to do because I managed to read more than one book this month. Mind you, it probably helps that most of those books were fairly short, and I had already started one of them before the months happened. Still, it still counts. Before I begin, I'm just going to say that all my reviews for these books are available on Goodreads, so this is basically just going to be a very quick summarization of my thoughts on each of these books. So let's get the ball rolling with The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. It was the first book I read this month. I also borrowed it from my friend Lindsay, and I've already given it back, so that's why I don't have a physical copy. This book tells the story of 3 generations of historians and their various allies. We've got the unnamed female character who narrates most of the story. We've also got her father Paul and his wife Helen, and then we have their mentor Professor Rossi. And each of their stories take place in different decades. We've got the 30s, then the 50s, and then finally the 70s. And so across a very wide swath of history, especially considering that most of the action takes place in Europe, and so we've got all that Cold War stuff going on back there. And over the course of their studies, they discover this trail of clues and evidence throughout history suggesting that maybe, possibly, Vlad Tepes, the guy who was the Romanian tyrant and the inspiration for Dracula from Bram Stoker's novel, he may have actually become Dracula, become a vampire, and has survived to this day. And then what follows is this, like, adventure throughout Europe of them tracing down all of these clues and hints and evading the followers that they eventually realize, oh yeah, vampires are real, they keep on trying to bite us and kill us. It's a great book if you love history, it's a great book if you love doing research. I mean, I for one, when I was in university, I loved doing research for essays. Now, the actual writing of the essays, that was a huge struggle. But when I was doing research for them, I really did enjoy it, and so I really did enjoy a lot of the stuff that all the characters in this book had to go through. Now, there are some qualms I had with it, some of the syntax and the grammar and just the style of it I found kind of iffy, and because I'm not as huge a history buff as my friend is, there were some parts that I found really dragged, but all in all, it's a very well-written book. It's a great adventure, and it's a good historical drama, and there's even some really good horror elements in there too. And after that, I read Power Rangers Aftershock, which is the graphic novel sequel to the new movie, which is the greatest movie that I've ever seen. Quantifiably the most diverse film that has been released this year, so you should definitely go watch it if you can, and then if you can watch it again after that, you should go watch it again. So anyways, this book, it picks up directly after the film and continues most of the Ranger stories. It follows their hopes and their fears about their duties and what everything entails. It's got some hints on where the sequel movies could go beyond the obvious, and I really hope the sequel movies get greenlit. Don't let me down, Lionsgate! The one thing I didn't like about this is that it's really not a full graphic novel. It's basically 3 issues, maybe not even 3 issues, maybe just like 2.5 issues worth of single issue material, and then the back half of this is just a promo for the Boom series of Mighty Morphin Comics because the trade paperback has come out soon. So it's like, they're good, but I've already read those years ago, so it was basically paying twice the amount for half of what I expected, essentially. Still, though, if you really like the movie, then you should definitely check this out. It is a very good follow-up to the movie, and it'll still show your support towards the movie and give more evidence to the fact that they should continue with this film franchise. And after I finished those, I read The Star Touch Queen by Roshani Chokshi. Now, if you remember, this is a book that I was planning on reading for a Diversathon back in January. I got 100 pages in, and I was just not feeling it at all, you guys. I felt like there were some weird things going on with the pacing and the writing style and the characters, and I knew that if I tried to force my way through it, I was going to lose all my motivation, so I put it on hold and I started reading the other stuff. Didn't get as far as I wanted to for Diversathon, but I did get further than I would have if I had kept with this book, and for good reasons. Those fears were completely founded. The only reason I was able to finish this as quick as I did was because A, I was in some very long car trips over the weekend, and B, I'm almost out of data on my phone. So it's like, I couldn't use the internet on those trips, so I had to do something. So yeah, I ripped through this, and it's not awful, but there's a lot of stuff that I took umbrage with. I felt the pacing was all over, the characters were all over. There's a good story buried somewhere in here. I think the main thing was that it felt way too rushed. If you have a really strong hankering for Indian mythology-inspired myths, then maybe you should check this out. But I really don't think it's worth your time if you don't have such a huge passion for that. And the last book I was able to squeeze in was Cocaine Blues by Kerry Greenwood, which is the first book in the Friday Fisher series, which of course is the inspiration for the phenomenal television series Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries. I watched the television show, or at least I watched the first season before I read any of these books, and I wanted to start reading them to see how they compared. And for those of you who don't know, the plot of the show and the books is that it takes place in 1920s Melbourne, Australia, and it's about a lady detective named Franny Fisher, and she's a really unique character of the time just because she bucks all of these social trends. She takes a lot of male lovers, she's very accommodating of people of different religions and races, she's super accepting of people who aren't straight, even though that was basically illegal at the time, but she's still super chill with it. She's always supporting the needy and the downtrodden because in her backstory, she was born into poverty, and the only reason her family is now as wealthy as it is because during the Great War, so many people died. While I would say that the show in general is slightly better than the novel itself has a few things that I feel give it a bit of an edge over the show in some departments. Basically, they're both really good. Whether you're a fan of the television show or not, you should definitely check this out if you like mysteries, or if you like history dramas, or if you just like really strong female characters. So that was my April, and I think it was pretty successful. I mean, if you've been watching my previous videos, I probably talked about how I've really been struggling to keep my motivation up these past few months, but I think reading all those smaller books really helped. So my plan now, in order to keep that going, is on my queue shelf, I've split up the really thick books I've got with smaller books between. So it's like, after I read some daunting 500, 600 page monstrosity, I can read just some little 200, 300 page thing, or a graphic novel that I can whip through in like an hour or two, and that will be able to keep the ball rolling for me. I'd also like to take this opportunity to remind y'all that I am doing the bookshelf scavenger hunt. I have been asking for coordinates for the past few videos. I don't want to be too annoying, but I haven't actually gotten that many coordinates sent to me, so I'm really hoping you guys could send me a few. I only need like 5 more, and then I should be able to make a decent video for it, and if I don't get them, I'll probably just submit myself to random number generator. And if you want to be in the loop and know when I bring that video out, you should definitely check me out on social media. I've got a Goodreads, as I mentioned. I also have an Instagram and a Tumblr where I post all of my videos, as well as some other bookish stuff that I've got going on. And as always, you can definitely like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and you should definitely subscribe to my channel, because then you might be my 100th subscriber, because I'm sitting at 99. I think I've been sitting at 99 for about a week now, but I'm so close, and I don't actually know what happens when you hit 100 subscribers. I think YouTube just mails you a party hat and a chocolate bar, but it'd still be a really cool thing to happen. So definitely subscribe if you liked my stuff. And until next time, I'll see you all later.